Fran, you say turnovers first half, missed free throws the second half, two things that will be hard to let go.
Absolutely, Rick. I mean, there's so many things to be proud of with this team all year long, but in particular in this game. I mean, you make 16 threes, you out-rebound the opponent, shoot 54%, supposed to win. They got 21 points off those turnovers in the first half, and we missed 11 free throws. That just completely changed the game.
When you look at the way you guys came back multiple times, you're down 11 twice in the second half, even down 5 points with 14 to go and still had a chance to win. I mean, what does it say about your team?
I was really proud of the way we fought all year, but in this game, you're right, Scott. I mean, we corrected the turnover problem. We only had 2 in the second half, 3 in overtime. Unfortunately, we went back uncharacteristic turnovers in that overtime period, but sometimes it happens when you get behind, you're trying to be aggressive. We got it to the front of the rim a couple times and didn't score, got frustrating. But, I'm just really proud of how we kept fighting, how we kept moving the ball, sharing the ball.
Fran, your point guard had 34 assists in the last 3 games. George it seems like his 4 games just keeps getting better. 13 today.
Well, I think what's happening, Pat, is as he has gained experience, he's figuring out exactly how to make those kinds of plays. In the beginning, he's coming off the bench, and then he's starting, but he just earned a starting spot, and he's trying to run the play we call. I remember, the Indiana game when he tried to run a play and he turned it over because they took him out of it, and then later on, he just went and made a great play. And so I think he's got that figured out now. Okay, when to stick with the play, when to just go because of how they're playing him or they're playing the guy he's trying to throw the ball to. Essentially what he did on the last play of the game. So I give him that kind of latitude to make those kinds of decisions. And you're seeing a guy who's just enjoying that freedom and his the benefit of his experience, I think, at this point.
Jamie said he felt like they played good defense. You guys just played good offense and made shots. How would you analyze how you guys played defense? Was it similar? They were just making shots?
No, I think our defense wasn't as connected as it needed to be. In the beginning they were driving the ball to the basket, and we didn't have a lot of rim protection. Most of the Bears blocked shots, I think, were in the second half, if I'm not mistaken. So we either got to take a charge or we got to block a shot. Again, we really were trying to force tempo. We made a couple crazy turnovers in the beginning that led to baskets for them. That was unfortunate, but they were running a lot of screen roll. I don't think we were helping, but we weren't helping the helper. Again, that comes down to being connected. So you got to help the helper, help the helper, help the helper, and that's what the rotations come from. When you have a team that shoots that well from 3 and has a 6'11" center that can catch and finish and score off either shoulder, they've got you all spread out. So it's going to require us to recognize, where do I have to be? Does Jordan need help on penetration? Where's my shooter? We try to get into gaps and do some one-way closeouts, but we got caught staring at the ball a few times.
Cook had trouble getting going and had some turnovers, but you went to him late at the end of regulation. He came through. Is that a sign of maturity on the fly?
Well, I'm always going to go back with him. He was really out of sorts in the beginning of the game. He was fumbling the ball, and it's reflected in his turnover numbers. But what's been impressive about him is when he struggled like that, as long as I go back to him, he'll come back and he still ends up with 16 and 5. Shot 7 for 7, so he was really a very effective player in the game. I thought he got some big time traffic rebounds late. I thought defensively he was better late. A lot of guys can't do that. Once they're sideways, that's it. And you can't put them back in. But he knows I'm going to put him back in. I have confidence in him, and little by little he'll get it figured out.
Your defense, I know not the way you wanted to end the season, but how far did the guys come from the beginning to the end of the year, with that young group on that end of the floor?
Well, I think a long way. If you remember, not many people in this room were in Florida. I mean, our defense in Florida was as bad as I've ever been around. And I felt terrible that that my staff and I hadn't done a better job getting those guys to play better defense. You know, we were scoring the ball. Obviously, didn't do it against Virginia. We did it against Memphis and some other games. We just couldn't stop anybody. Couldn't stop them in transition. Couldn't stop them in zone. Couldn't stop them in man. You know, I thought the Iowa State game was a turning point for us, and our defense became better. We were really locked into the game plan, and I think did a much better job as the season progressed in that area. Came apart a couple times on the road, the Big Ten early. And sometimes you got to learn from that. And so, from that point forward, we were a lot better. Today we didn't get much from our changing defenses. We didn't get many turnovers. They handled the ball well. They got a lot of guards that can pass and catch, and they got a lot of shot makers.
What's your final memory going to be of Pete, John?
Well, the thing about Pete that I love is, and a lot has been said and written that, he's here because we stuck with him. When I said to him just now, I said, what, Pete, you stuck with yourself. He had a tough journey. It was well over 12 months. When he came back, I mean, he was not himself. He did not look good. I was at the game and saw him get a shot blocked by a 6-foot guy, and he was as down as you could be, wondering if you could ever put it together. And he just kept working. I had seen him before and knew he could play, and we stuck with him, but he stuck with himself, kept working, and ends up leading the state in scoring, Mr. Basketball. The rest is history. He comes here and has a fabulous career. So I'm really proud of him. And again, when you get to know somebody like you do in recruiting, his character is tremendous. And I said to him, a lot of the players in this room are here because you hosted them on their visit. They all wanted to play with Pete. They all respected Pete. They all listened to what he had to say. And, as his coaching staff, you really appreciate that. Because, leadership manifests itself in a lot of different ways. It's in practice, it's in the locker room, it's on the road, it's in tight games, but it's in the off season, and it's in recruiting, and, what do we do off the floor? What do we do to stay connected as a group, in the off season? And he's always been a guy that's in the gym all the time, so they just follow his lead. And our guys are in the gym all the time. That's why we have the practice facility. That's made a tremendous difference in our ability to build this program.
What did you think of the crowd?
Well, the crowd was fabulous. I mean, it was electric. They were on every possession. I think that's what you appreciate as a player and as a coach. They didn't just cheer when we made a run. They cheered the whole game, every time we did something well, when we got behind. And that's what you need. You need that energy level then, and that's what I'm so thankful for this crowd these last 2 games and all season.
When you look big picture, you had to replace 392 starts coming into this year. You had 5, make it 6 freshmen, counting Isaiah Moss. It's going to be a journey. It's going to be a climb.
That's exactly what it was. You're absolutely right. That's exactly what it was. There's incredible highs and some lows, and you think a guy turned the corner and then he starts making some freshman mistakes again. But the key is to stay positive with them. Challenge them, hold them accountable, which I did early. A couple of timeouts, I got after them pretty good. But then come back and put your arms around them and trust them. Another shot, and they're going to keep getting better. And I think we've seen tremendous growth from a very young team, because we got a lot of guys that were freshmen, we got a lot of guys that were sophomores and didn't play a lot because of those 392 starts that you're referring to. Look at Bear and Ahmad Wagner in particular, Brady Ellingson. Those guys all had tremendous years, and they're just going to keep getting better.
What do you tell the younger guys after this game wraps up, final whistle?
I'm proud of them. I love them, and we got to go back to work. We're not going to take any time. We're back in the gym, and we've got an opportunity, I think, to have a really good team. But the only way that's going to happen is if we keep fighting and keep working, and it starts immediately. Off-season conditioning, summer workouts. We get extra practices. We're going to take our team overseas. That'll be an opportunity for us to grow together, to assimilate our new players into that group, and play some games overseas. And I think as a result, we'll benefit greatly.
Was any part of this year unexpected for you, or did it kind of play out how you thought it would?
I don't know that I ever, I think a lot of people say, hey, what was your expectation for wins and losses? Or I don't ever have an expectation for that. What I have an expectation for is that we're going to play a certain way, and individuals are going to play a certain way. And it's my job to get them to play to their potential. And how you do that is you coach each player individually. You don't scream and yell at all of them, say one thing and assume it. Everybody's different. They have different personalities, different games, different strengths and weaknesses. So you try to get the best out of each one, so collectively the group becomes better. And then self-evaluate that if I'm not doing a good enough job, my staff's not doing a good enough job, what do we have to do to help them? A lot of coaches throw everything on them. We're all in this together, and it's my responsibility to take care of that. And so I would say this: I really appreciated how they responded to me and my staff all year long. They kept grinding and kept trying to get better. So I think ultimately that would be my expectation, that regardless of whether we're 5-5, 8-5, 3-game losing streak, we're going to keep grinding and we're going to keep concentrating on the game plan, stay true to the game plan, and be a great teammate that helps the guy next to him. And that's what we keep trying to do.
Take one or two more if you got it. What did you think of Don Buell's contribution?
Don was great tonight. He wasn't so great when I first put him in. But I didn't leave him in very long in his defense. But I thought defensively, offensively, he was terrific. I'm really proud of him.
Okay, thank you,
Thank
Coach.
you.